Hey guys, what's up? My name is Tommy Marshall, doing my speech here on heroin addiction. I'm going to start my speech off with a little bit of personal information. I was a heroin addict for about 2 years. Ruined my life, made me drop out of high school, all that fun stuff. It took me about 6 or 7 tries with sobriety before I actually got clean, got sober. And I've been clean about 2.5 years now. So what is heroin? Actually, heroin was introduced in the U.S. In the Wild West. It was brought over by Chinese immigrants as opium. These opium dens were frequented by all the cowboys and kind of just sparked the whole movement here in the United States. So opium was promoted as a cure for alcoholism. There was a lot of alcoholics back in the Wild West, and they thought having them stoned on opium was better than having them drunk fighting and carrying on like that. And in 1874, heroin was created by a guy in Germany, and heroin was marketed in the U.S. as a safe alternative to opium, as a non-addictive drug that would relieve your pain and wouldn't ruin your life. So what is heroin? Heroin can be smoked, snorted, or injected intravenously into the body. When you're high on when you do heroin, you kind of get this euphoric state rushed over your body right after you do it, and then your mind kind of enters this cloudy state where you don't really remember exactly what's going on. It's kind of hazy, and then you kind of just enter this state where you get these bursts of energy, and then these bursts of just falling asleep. And it's really just not a safe thing. So 3,091,000 people in the U.S. over the age of 12 have tried this drug. Nearly 2% of high school seniors have used it, and about half of that 2% use it intravenously, which is not good. And heroin addicts spend on average about $100 to $200 a day to support their habits, which you can imagine takes its toll on their lives. So that's the seniors graduating and doing heroin at the same time. So heroin addiction it takes a heavy toll on the body. It's characterized by compulsive drug seeking and use. So you just get these urges to just find this drug no matter what it takes. You don't really care. Heroin abusers eventually spend more time and energy trying to get the drug, and they just let everything else in their lives fall to the wayside, and they just don't care what's going on. And eventually physical dependence will set in, and the body gets so used to having the drug that when it doesn't have the drug, it goes into a withdrawal state, which is horrible. Withdrawal symptoms, they're typically like raised blood pressure, raised pulse, raised respiratory and blood pressure. You also get you experience some muscle cramps and spasms, and you're just nauseous constantly. It's just pretty much the worst experience you can imagine. Also, you could experience some extreme depression or suicidal behaviors, depending on what your situation is. So what causes addiction and withdrawal? Repeated use of the drug allows your body to kind of get tolerant to it, so you kind of use more and more every time you use it, and you get used to it in a sense, and your body adapts to the drug. So every time you use it, you're getting more adapted to it, and your brain's changing with these adaptations. So eventually, your brain's just changed so much that it can't function without the drug, and when you don't have the drug, you just become sick, and your body can't properly function, and it's just horrible. So it kind of brings us into the treatments of the drug. You've got some different treatments here. Of course, there's always just like a traditional inpatient rehabilitation facility, where you go away for like a certain amount of time. And I mean, that's got the most success rate. It you get some intensive counseling as well as some medications to help alleviate the stresses. Also, there's outpatient programs like Suboxone or Methadone. I personally went through a Suboxone program where it's an outpatient thing. They give you this drug. It's an opiate that kind of lets your body function without your mind being under the influence of the drug. So you're able to tolerate it without going through withdrawal symptoms, and you just wean yourself off. Methadone's in a pretty much similar way, except it actually like affects the opiate receptors, so people do end up getting high, and it's just not as successful as Suboxone. So the chances that an addict can ever fully recover depends on the amount, the length, and the frequency that they use the drug. So I mean, if you were using it every day, multiple times a day, for 20 years, the chances aren't that great that you're going to get off. But if you're like a recreational user, I mean, odds are in your favor. But hey, it's all up to you, I guess. Estimates are between 5 and 10% of heroin addicts ever fully recover and don't ever use the drug again. So that's not a very big number. It's 1 in 10 at the most. And addiction is a lifelong disease, and any recovering addict is at risk for a relapse. So some of the dangers. Overdose. In 2006, over 26,000 people died of heroin overdose. Also in the same year, there were 126,000 emergency room visits that were caused by heroin. And in 2008, there were 114,000 first-time users of the drug. So it's not like going anywhere, it's here. Also, well, that's Hillel Slovak. He died of a heroin overdose. Also, you're at risk of disease. Heroin users inject the drug oftentimes, and it's not very safe to be sharing needles. So you can get hepatitis. You can see he has some yellow eyes there. Got the hepatitis bad. AIDS is also among one of the more popular drugs or diseases that drug addicts encounter. And also criminal behavior. I mean, as a drug addict, you're not only at risk of getting in trouble for simple drug possession, but petty crimes such as theft and prostitution that you'll do just to support your habit. I mean, as an addict, you'll do pretty much anything to support your habit. So, as a conclusion, I just want to talk about it. Like, addiction is more common than most people think, and it affects more people than just what most people think. A lot of people think of it as like a poor person thing, or like specifically like a racial thing or something, and it's not. It affects everyone. Everyone you know could be a drug addict, and it's just those select few that can get off the drug and don't ever try it. That's the main point here. Drugs are bad, okay?